Hello my friends, today we're gonna open and make some of these mini brands create. Well, correction, not open, just make, because I already opened these. I was curious to see what's inside, and also I wanted to be prepared to make them different than what they show us in the collector's guide. So without further ado, we're gonna start with our first creation, the strawberry cake. So I just wanted to show you guys real quick exactly what it comes in the ball. Now, of course, the plan is to use most of these, but we will also add some new stuff so that we can, make something different. So I'm gonna put everything down here for now. So according to Mini Brands, if you follow the recipe, this is what you should get, but this is what I'm thinking. You know what, before we proceed, let me make some modifications here. I got this contraption thingy, they're called helping hands, and it's obviously doing exactly what, the name is. And I might bring it back if I need help with something, but right now it kind of just gets in the way. Maybe I should just modify my setup in the future so that, this can be also accommodated. Okay, so here's my concern. Normally you would have to use this whipped cream over here. I mean, this fake whipped cream to make the swirls on the top, but I have a feeling that would be pretty hard to do and make them look that perfect. Cybersys85 said in a comment, I can tell you on the strawberry layer cake, there is not enough whipped cream. So yeah, that's a problem. And then Marcy Whitlock 7234 had an interesting idea that I'm kind of gonna use in a way. They said, take the cherry chocolate cake and the strawberry cake, cut them in half, put both halves together. So we're gonna do something like that. I'm gonna use this chocolate cake base from the Mini Brands Create. Then I'm gonna use a couple items from MiniVerse. I have some strawberries here and then some whipped cream from the top. What I meant to say is for the top of the cake. So first things first, let's open and prep all our ingredients. Here's a closer look at the sponge cake base. We get 2 of these and they pretty much look exactly the same on both sides. There's no bottom part or upper part or anything like that. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I guess in the end everything will kind of get covered, so it doesn't really matter. Of course, my favorite, the chocolate cake base. You once again get 2 of these. They look the same on each side. Honestly, if these were just slightly bigger, they would look exactly like Oreos. But of course, without the intricate design that's very specific to Oreos. These are part of the strawberries we get in this Mini Brands kit. We got some halves and then some little pieces over there. And then we also get a few full-size strawberries. And then I'm also gonna need to borrow some strawberries from MiniVerse for this idea. And then I kind of want to give you a better idea of the differences between these two. So obviously on the left, I have MiniVerse, and then on the right is Mini Brands. As you can see, Mini Brands are a lot more detailed, whereas MiniVerse are a lot more, playful, kind of like pretend strawberries, I guess. However, we do know that Mini Brands doesn't give you a lot of them, so you're not really gonna have extras, whereas MiniVerse, I'm gonna mess this up a lot, whereas MiniVerse always gives you extra so you can have for future projects. And then here's the differences in the whole strawberries. The one on the left is MiniVerse and the one on the right is Mini Brands. Once again, I think Mini Brands did a better job replicating the real life product, although from this angle, I really like the way that MiniVerse did theirs. I guess Mini Brands just removed the stem, whereas MiniVerse actually removed the stem by cutting the strawberry. Alright, here's the fake whipped cream. It has a nozzle tip, the ones you get for the piping bags, and we're not going to use it much because we have different plans for this, but I am going to use it on these layers of cake, so I'm going to try to pipe as if I was putting them on top just to see how they would look. And who knows, maybe I'm going to just change my whole plan and make something even more different than what I initially planned. So first thing I'm going to do is grab some of these toothpicks, and I'm going to add some blue mounting putty to the top part. Of course, the color of the mounting putty doesn't really matter. I don't even know why I mentioned that it's blue. Well, maybe because it is. And then I'm gonna stick this strawberry over here, something like this, and I promise it's gonna make sense in a little bit. I'm gonna use this piece of foam to stick them in like so. So basically I was thinking to make these strawberries look even more realistic, so I'm gonna use some of this acrylic paint. It's mid yellow to make little seeds on them. So we just need a little bit here, not too much. Wait, I need to put it on this other side because I'm a lefty. There we go, much better. So I can obviously use a very thin paintbrush for this, but I think a toothpick will work just as well, especially since we just need the smallest amount. And I really like how mini brands, because they're so detailed, the strawberries, you can actually see the little seeds, so it's easier to actually paint them. All right, so we have a problem. It didn't turn out exactly as I was hoping. I guess this is really tiny, so it's really difficult to just get a little bit of paint over there, but I think it still looks good. There are some spikes over there, and I'm thinking maybe if I let it dry just a little bit and then wipe it down, I don't know. Let's try it out. All right, here goes nothing. So a quick correction, I didn't actually wipe, I just kind of like, tapped or pushed down, and I think it looks a little better, right? Let's just put it over here and let it dry completely. And I'm gonna try to make these other ones even better. So I think this is my best looking one so far. It's the closest to what I actually envisioned. I don't know, I think like the other ones, I mean, some of them are good, some of them are bad. A lot of them look like they're sick strawberries or poison strawberries or something. I do not have duplicates, so I'm gonna have to do the best I can with what I have. But the way I'm looking at it is I'm kind of learning something new and, getting better. So next time I get something like this, at least we have a new skill that we can work with, I think this one is even better than the previous one. And unfortunately, I just have one more left. I really, really wish I had more of these so that I can practice, before I start painting them, but oh well. Yeah, so as I expected, the last one is the best one, at least in my opinion. And if you want to give this a try, you know what the main secret is? A lot of patience. It's also very important to dip the toothpick back into the paint after almost every seed you try to paint. That kind of creates a very sharp tip of paint, and it's easier to, get the smallest amount over there. And then lastly, once you're finished with all that, grab some tissue and kind of like wrap it around and squeeze it with your fingers and then remove it. All right, that was very time consuming, but now that we finished, we can start working on the top layer of the cake. And to make it easier, I'm going to grab some more of this mounting putty. Put it right over here. This is, by the way, one of those bases from this stand. Stick it like so. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Maybe it does. So let me try to get it as leveled as possible. Kind of like that. I'm still gonna hold it. I'm gonna work on it like this. So I guess it doesn't really matter how leveled it is. So now instead of the whipped cream, I'm gonna add some chocolate sauce to the top layer. I just realized something when I started the video. I was showing this as part of the kind of like, these are the things you get with the strawberry cake, but I was wrong. You're not getting any chocolate sauce. I'm using this from the other cake, the chocolate cherry cake. And we're just gonna pour some here on the top. It's a little bit runny, but I think we should be good. Let's start with that. And I'm gonna spread it around. I absolutely love chocolate, but I don't wanna add too much to the top here because then it's gonna be really hard to work with. We do, however, need more than what's here, so that's kind of like a lot more, but oh well. It's a little bit more translucent than I anticipated, so maybe at the end of the day we're going to consider this to be not chocolate sauce, maybe some kind of syrup or glaze. Okay, I think this is good. We can add more later if we need to. And the first thing we're going to add here is the strawberries. And now we're gonna get the perfectly piped MiniVerse whipped cream, and I'm gonna add them one by one here to the sides. I'm just really hoping that I'm spacing these enough so that, it looks good. I don't know if we should try to fit more or if this is perfect, but let me try and move them around a little bit just to make sure there's kind of like equal distance between all of them, and then I'm gonna decide. All right, I think that's good the way it is. I don't wanna add more because it's actually perfect. I don't know exactly how many I added, but yeah, it's the perfect amount. I do want to make use of these little bits of strawberry, so I'm going to add one between each of these big strawberries. It's also going to make the whole thing look a little bit more full, And now that everything looks the way we want it to, it's time to cure it all in place with the UV light. Okay, this is all looking nice and pretty so far. I think at the end we're gonna make some drips of chocolate going down on the side of the cake. Let's put it to the side and we're gonna grab our vanilla layer. We're gonna start with this as the base, and it's time to see what this whipped cream is all about. But wait, before we do that, let's secure this one in place as well, because I don't want it to slide all over the place. So let's see, if I was to make those nice dollops at the top, if they would have looked as good as in the picture. Oh, kind of. Let's try another one here. Yeah, it would have been difficult. I'm wondering if I squeeze some out and at the same time twist this, if it's gonna look better. It's very difficult. I'm gonna try again. One more time, because at this point I'm adding too much. Yeah, no. Okay. Well, good to know. So I'm gonna use this cake spatula thingy to spread around. And by the way, this is kind of like, I think they call it Decodent cream or Decodent cream, and it air dries. It's not UV light resin or anything. I think it's very similar, if not the same, with that construction material that you put, you know, around the bathtubs or your sink, or I don't even know, in the kitchen. And no, I'm not gonna pronounce the name of that because with my accent, it's not gonna come out right at all. I can spell it for you though. It's called Caulk. So now we're going to put some strawberries here on the edge, and technically, since we're going to use another one of these cake layers, we're not going to have enough strawberries, so I'm going to use some of the mini brands and then I'm going to use some of the MiniVerse. I guess one thing I like about this cream is that it's very sticky, which means, you know, you can put stuff and move them around and not be afraid of them falling. So I'm trying to space these strawberry halves so that we can make room for the MiniVerse ones to go in between. There's definitely a big difference in the way they look, you know, MiniVerse compared to mini brands. And that's a little bit of a problem because I'm not going to be able to always, you know, combine them and make something cool just because there's such a big difference between them. You know, it's not going to look good. And by the way, if you get these and you're going to work with this cream, please be careful not to get it somewhere because it's very sticky and I don't even know how you're going to get it off. It's not like resin. I don't even know if rubbing alcohol works, because that's what you can use with UV resin, but I don't think it works with this. Okay, so now technically, once you have everything in place, you're supposed to put another dollop of fake whipped cream here in the middle, and then use the other cake layer to kind of like press it so then it kind of like goes in between and maybe spills a little bit to the sides. So let's see how that will work. I think that should be enough, right? Yeah, based on this, it seems like that's pretty much it. So for the middle layer, I'm going to use a chocolate cake. Yeah, it's a little bit empty, but I don't think there's much I can do now, right? Or is there? That looks kind of delicious, right? Of course, it's not edible, but this cream looks like it could be edible. Let's just put more here in the middle, and hopefully when we press it with that, it's gonna fill up the rest. Yeah, that's a little better. Let's do this. Let's squeeze. And now we can push the strawberries back inside. Not all the way inside, we still want to see part of them, but definitely a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't like this cream because, I mean, now I'm gonna have to put another layer and then I'm gonna press it, so it's gonna make it even worse. I'm probably fixing this for nothing. See, this is the part where a lot of people complain that this is coming off. As you can see, it almost did for me. Maybe on this one I put a little bit too much, but we'll find out in a little bit. At least now we can use the bottom part to kind of like guide our placement for the strawberries. Okay, here's a tip. Do not push them in like this, because if you need to change their position now, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. This is the last half of the mini brands strawberries. Now it's time for the MiniVerse. Yeah, personally, I'm really not liking this cream at all. I mean, it's realistic and everything, but in a situation like this where you have to work on different layers and you have to add more, and it's not like, you know, you're just finishing it off with the cream, definitely not worth it. All right, good thing I have this reserve extra whipped cream, because we just need to add a little bit here in the middle just to make sure it sticks to the top layer. Or maybe a little bit more. I'm always saying a little bit and then I add more. What can I say? Let's put it here, and I'm gonna kind of like turn it around slowly and just, you know, work my way, make sure it's even. Actually, I need to lift it up to make sure it's even. We're just gonna push some of these strawberries in just a little bit. And no, it is not crooked, it's just the way, you know, when I pressed it down, this mounting putty inside here kind of like swished around a little bit, so, but it's not crooked. I'm gonna fix it in a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna take it off just to make sure it's not crooked. Okay, so it is a little bit crooked. See, this is what I'm saying. You don't want to touch anything, so then how are you supposed to, you know, maneuver it? I honestly think maybe my camera is not leveled, because from this angle, it looks cool, right? It doesn't look like it's crooked, but this is not finished. I still have something else I want to do. For that, I need to grab one little thing. All right, I need this silicone mat. And then also this. No, that's too tall. Maybe this. But we do need a little bit of this mounting putty. Just a little bit. So now that we're all set, I'm gonna get my favorite thing in the whole world, chocolate. And we're gonna pour some here and kind of like let it just drop, and then we're gonna cure it in place with the UV light. I just want to see first which one would be the front so I can make that look the best. Probably this part right here, because I have the really nice strawberries over there in the front, you know? So like I said, chocolate sauce. We're gonna add this nozzle that it came with, and then we're gonna generously pour chocolate everywhere. Right, at this point I cannot move it too much because it's gonna start dripping on my fingers. And if it was chocolate, I would just lick it, but it's not. If I cure in place like this with the drop over here, it's just gonna prevent it from, you know, sitting nicely on a plate. So we're just gonna kind of like go around. I think that's good. Now it's time for the UV light. This is my version of the strawberry cake. Is it called a strawberry cake? Yep, it is definitely called a strawberry cake. That's how many brands made it. This is how I made it. Honestly, I don't know if it's much of an improvement. It's different. My version looks a little bit maybe too crowded. I guess the best way to explain it is I had an idea, and then in my head it didn't look exactly like this. Maybe I went too heavy with the chocolate, even though I love it, and I'm sure this cake in real life it will be really, really delicious. It looks more similar to a stack of pancakes, like a very fancy stack of pancakes with whipped cream and strawberries and chocolate. But I'll leave it up to you. What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments. Any of your opinions matches with mine, or if you guys think it's actually great and I'm just too critical. Is critical the word, or am I trying to say I'm too harsh? Let me put it over here. It kind of looks better from this angle. I'm gonna put it over here and I'm gonna clean my set, and then we're gonna move on to the next one. So now that we have our dessert, next time we're gonna make our main dish, the stuffed pork loin and roast potatoes. I don't know why it says roast potatoes. Shouldn't they say roasted potatoes? Yeah, I don't know. But either way, here's what comes in this kit. We got some pork loin, kind of bloody looking pieces. I know this is stuffed with something, but they don't say what it is stuffed with. Then we got a box of roasted potatoes. Seems like this time they spelled it the correct way. I don't know if the microphone picked that up, but my stomach was rumbling. I mean, these are some realistic looking potatoes and I'm actually getting hungry. What can I say? They look absolutely amazing. And then in the same box, we got this herb. I don't know, as I was saying, I don't know exactly what it is. It kind of looks like basil, but it could be something else. Who knows? You also get some tomato reduction with this nozzle tip thingy. And yes, I'm keeping it upside down because it feels really light and I have a feeling it's not enough in there. So I want to make sure that we can get every single drop. Here's our finishing glaze. You also get a nice plate and some utensils. Now, here's what we're gonna use from the MiniVerse universe to make this look a little better. The knife on the left is MiniVerse and the knife on the right is MiniBrands, and I think the MiniBrands one looks a lot better. However, when it comes to the forks, the one on the left is MiniVerse and the one on the right is MiniBrands. In this instance, I feel like the MiniVerse one looks a little bit more realistic. MiniBrands made it too thin and a little bit longer, and in my opinion it doesn't look that great. And then we're also going to use these colored carrots from MiniVerse and this little container from MiniVerse, which I think was used for pico de gallo, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna put this silicone mat so that you guys can see better. And then of course we're gonna start with our plate right over here in the center. And the first thing I wanna do is add this tomato reduction so that we have kind of like a base for everything to stick to. That is some thick tomato sauce. Or, sorry, reduction. We're gonna have to be careful so that this thing doesn't come off, because that's gonna spell disaster. We can do kind of like a circle, or we can do like zigzag lines, or just 3 lines. I'm not sure. For some reason, I'm thinking zigzag would look good. So let's try that. Hopefully we have enough in here. That's looking pretty good. And I think we're gonna turn it this way. Now here's where things become interesting. We're gonna pick one of these pieces of pork loin, probably this one, and this one's gonna go somewhere here. But before we do that, before we place it over there, I'm gonna grab my scissors. Wait, see, I'm a lefty, but I can only cut with my right hand when using scissors. I don't know, lefties are weird like that. So we're gonna cut part of it, but not all the way through, you know, just a little bit. I guess technically we didn't cut it, we just made a notch. So see how it is like this now? And that's perfect because we're gonna grab our knife and kind of like slide it in there. Or not. Let me figure this out. I'm having technical difficulties here. There we go. Something like that. Isn't that perfect? Maybe a little lower. Yeah, that's good. That's better. So then we're gonna place this over here. By the time I'm doing this, the whole sauce is becoming more of a puddle rather than a zigzag, but it's fine, it's still looking good. So I think over here, that's because I want, you know, a little bit of the knife to actually touch that part. We're gonna add our second piece of pork. Okay, I'm gonna need tweezers for this. Now it's time for the carrots, and running the risk of it looking too cartoony, I'm still gonna put one of each color. We do need a little bit of color on this dish. I think we're gonna start with yellow here, then the orange one next to it, and then finally the purple one over there. Let me show you how it looks from this angle. Actually, we can turn it like this. And now, of course, my favorite, the potatoes. And just because I love potatoes and I also don't think it's enough potatoes, I have a duplicate. And I'm gonna use some of these other potatoes to fill up the rest. I want them to cover part of the carrots as well, you know? Let's turn it around a little bit and have a look. And I know, there's not resin everywhere right now, which is fine. We're gonna cover it in a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. All right, so now that this part is done, we're gonna cure the resin. Everything that's touching resin will stick. Everything else we can, add a little bit more with a toothpick. Okay, so there's quite a few pieces of potato that weren't touched by the resin, which means we're gonna do it manually, a little bit at a time here and there. Oh, and this resin is sticky. Okay, that should work. Okay, I think we got them all, but let's test it. Yep, all good. I do want to add a little bit more here where the knife and the meat and everything touches the plate. It doesn't look that great. Okay, here's another cool part. I'm gonna take my fork from MiniVerse and I'm gonna snip the top part. Yeah, that should be good right there. And then we're gonna dip this in a little bit of that tomato reduction. We don't need too much, just a little bit. All right, that's done. This is how it looks. I think it's pretty good. Maybe it is a little bit too much resin there on the fork, but it still looks nice. And believe it or not, this was the easy part. Now comes the very difficult part. It's gonna make sense in a little bit. I'm gonna take this off, put it over here to the side for now. And what I want to create with this finishing glaze is literally like a stream of glaze dripping down. And I haven't done this before the way I'm gonna try to do it now. I want to actually let it flow and try to catch it mid-air. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I gotta give it a try because other attempts of doing this with other miniatures didn't, they weren't high enough. I wanted them to be higher than they were. Like for example, this ramen thingy, right? See how low it is? I want it to be a little bit higher than that, but it didn't really work out. So I'm gonna try something different. And we're gonna use the silicone mat because resin does not stick to silicone. So let's see what we can do here. I really hope it's not too runny. Okay, I think this might actually work. Okay, I got my UV light ready. So let's see. Well, that works surprisingly well. Yes, I know it looks ugly right now, but I have a plan, don't worry. I'm actually thinking about doing another version of this just to see if I can get a better one. Let's put this to the side. And we're gonna try it again. Maybe a little lower this time. Nope. This one is definitely not good. We're gonna just throw it away and we're gonna do one more. Or maybe multiple because I'm actually having fun with this. Yeah, we're definitely doing multiple. I'm getting closer to what I actually want. I think this last one we did is the winner, but we can always make more. Let's just put everything to the side for now. We're gonna use the scissors to cut it over here. Now let's see if it fits with what I'm imagining here. Okay, I'm just trying to decide the placement of this. I think this is the best way. Since this drop is going this way, it needs to be, positioned in such a way that it doesn't defy gravity. Yeah, that looks really good. So now what we need to do is just add some of that finishing glaze here so that it kind of like blends in with everything. Yeah, I think that's absolutely perfect. I just want to add some more of that tomato reduction here and there because the plate looks kind of weird. I almost forgot about that green thing. I'm curious how many of you were thinking about this and they were yelling at the screen. Is that a good placement? I think it is. Oh yeah. I don't know if the UV light will get through there, but let's see. Oh yeah, it did. That's impressive. I want to add a little bit more tomato reduction over here. And then we also need some glaze over here on this other piece of meat. And we can use a toothpick to move it around a little bit. That looks much better, don't you think? So now the moment you've all been waiting for. Okay. Oh, don't you worry, we're not done yet. I hate these bubbles. I think that's good. If I put a little bit more, I'm afraid it's gonna start dripping for real, Maybe one more drop and then I can hit it real quick with the UV light and it won't have time to drip anywhere, And these bubbles drive me nuts. Well, my dear friends, here is the final result. This is my version of the stuffed pork loin with roasted potatoes. I think it turned out pretty good. I mean, there's definitely room for improvement as always. As you can see, this is the thing with the glaze is kind of like defying gravity a little bit because the glaze isn't going down straight. It's kind of like going at an angle. But yeah, if you look just from a certain point of view, it looks great. From this angle, kind of like from this. Yeah, from this angle it looks great. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would really love to make another one, but unfortunately, I need a couple supplies that I ordered. Thank you in advance for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And as usual, you guys stay golden, keep on shining. Let me know what you think about these, and I'll see you in the next video. I don't even have the room to say the proper bye that I usually do, so let's just move it here. Okay, I think this is enough space. Bye-bye.